Hello guys, GatorGamer CHOMPING OUT to another video, and today we are reacting to top-10 scary Russian urban legends. And someone asked me to put in the second episode to react to, but you know, orders are orders. Like, not you know what kind of orders, but the orders in numbers and whatnot. So, let's begin.
Russia, the biggest country on Earth. With such a big place, there's bound to be some very scary stories that have emerged there over
wait, hold up, sorry. Let me redo that real quick so I can be able to get a thumbnail. And that's a pretty ugly woman, I'll tell you what. Okay, there we go.
Russia, the biggest country on Earth. With such a big place, there's bound to be some very scary stories that have emerged there over the years. These are some of the very best. They span across hundreds of years. Russians know them, often fear them, and they very rarely end well. Would you guys like to hear them? My name is Danny Burke, and this is the top 10 scary Russian urban legends. Coming at number 10 now, we have the Russian sleep experiment. Some of you guys may have heard of this one before.
Yeah,
it became a very popular creepypasta a few years ago, and for good reason. According to the legend, Russian scientists in the 1940s took 5 prison inmates and locked them in an airtight chamber with a special gas inside that made them unable to sleep. They wanted to study the effects of sleep deprivation over 30 days. On day 5, the inmates stopped talking to each other. By day 9, some of them were screaming, begging to get out. One of the others tore apart the books they were given, smeared them with their own feces, and then covered the one-way mirror with it, which the scientists were using to observe them. Then the screaming stopped. By day 15, they announced over the intercom that they were coming in. A voice replied, "We no longer want to be freed." They opened up the chamber to find one of the inmates had just been torn to pieces by the others. They had also mutilated themselves almost to the point of death. The team tried to surgically reverse the damage on their brains, but they resisted and couldn't be sedated. They just kept laughing and laughing. They demanded to be let back into the chamber, which the head scientist then agreed to. Appalled at what he was seeing, one of the scientists shot the head scientist and the remaining subjects. Before killing the last one, he asked, "What are you?" The prisoner responded, "Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralyze when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread." The scientist fired the gun and killed him. Moving on to number 9 now, we have the legend of Brosnya. The Brosnya is said to be an ancient mythological beast that lives within the waterways of the Adriapol district. Perhaps the closest comparison to this for a Western audience would be the Loch Ness Monster. The Brosnya lurks below the surface there. Many have heard of it, but few have seen it. They describe it as a prehistoric creature with a dragon's head and long, thin tail. There have been accounts of the beast going back well over 1,000 years. One notable example involves a Mongol army in the 8th century that fled the area after the Brosnya attacked them, eating their soldiers and horses. Some even say it's related to the Loch Ness Monster. Wouldn't that be an interesting family reunion? Coming out number 8 now, we have Ivan Vassili. That's the name of a ship, not a person. It was built in St. Petersburg in 1897. Everything was fine with the ship for about 25 years, and then in 1903, something changed. The crew were in the Indian Ocean one day when they felt a strange presence, almost as if an invisible entity was watching over them. There was a chill in the air. One night they saw an apparition, a human figure that strolled across the deck, its features too blurry to make out, and it then disappeared behind a lifeboat. A few nights later, when the ship was docked in China, a crew member screamed out into the night, sending everyone into a crazy panic. They lost their minds and went berserk, beating each other and themselves. It only ended when one of the crew members threw himself overboard and died. A few days later, it happened again. The crew became possessed with this fighting rage, and only ended with another crew member's death by drowning. The crew abandoned ship at port. The new crew set sail, but the same thing happened to them. This time 4 people died, including the captain, all of them throwing themselves overboard. Eventually the crew burned down the ship, cheering at the sight as they left in smaller boats. What do you guys think of that one? Can ships be so haunted that they drive people to suicide? Next up at number 7 now, we have the well to hell. This one comes from Siberia, a part of Russia that's perhaps one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. You'll rarely find people here, which is why a lot of stories have sprouted up around it. According to legend, a scientific team were drilling a hole to study samples in the Siberian permafrost. Suddenly, the drill started malfunctioning and letting off intense heat from below. Then they heard faint noises coming from within the hole. They scrambled to get a microphone and began feeding it down the hole so that they could hear better. They realized the noises were actually human voices coming from deep in the ground, and they were screaming out in pain. The terrified team packed up right away and left, convinced they had found a well to hell. Moving on to number 6 now, we have the Black Volga. This one comes from the height of the Cold War during the 1960s and 70s. During that time, many Russians talked of a Black Volga, an expensive car usually driven by those high up in the Soviet government. They said this particular car would appear out of nowhere. Its side mirrors were actually horns, and it would steal children from the side of the road, never to be seen again.
That reminds me, I'm sorry to pause it, by the way, but that if any of you people used to watch regular show, not sponsored or copyrighted, by the way, but like that cartoon that just had a finale, regular show, if any of y'all used to watch that, there was this one episode about a black taxi, if you know that one, that black killer taxi that Rigby was so scared of. That's what this reminds me of right here.
More, some say the car was driven by the devil himself. For me, though, the scariest part of the story is yet to come. It was said that those who doubted this story's authenticity would just be dead within 24 hours. Of course, this only made the story spread even faster. Do you guys dare doubt its authenticity? At number 5 now, we have Snake Lubac. Some Russians believe that occasionally a shooting star falling to Earth may actually be a Snake Lubac, a demonic figure that resembles a giant snake. It's often called the Fiery Serpent due to its fiery descent to Earth in a huge ball of fire. After it lands and the dust settles, the Snake Lubac takes on human form. To be more specific, it takes on the form of a lost love that died to whomever it appears in front of. It chooses people who are desperate to see their partner one last time. The Snake Lubac then tricks the person into believing that they never died at all. Once the person is totally under its spell, it slowly convinces them to commit suicide, a fate which many say is unavoidable. At number 4 now, we have the Chernobyl Blackbird. I'm sure many of you guys have heard about the Chernobyl disaster, the nuclear power plant meltdown.
Yeah, I heard of that.
In 1986, leaving a large part of the Soviet Union uninhabitable because of radiation. Now, according to some of the locals who lived nearby, there were signs of the disaster coming beforehand. Some of them experienced nightmares, strange phone calls, and encounters with a huge winged monster they called the Blackbird of Chernobyl. Apparently, it looked like a twisted hybrid of bird and human, with huge wings and big red eyes. Some even say they saw it flying over the reactors during the meltdown. Is it just some stupid story, or does this creature warn people of impending doom, or perhaps even cause it? Coming at number 3 now, we have UVB76, also,
or could be just a mutation of the radiation. Like, I heard that if you ever heard of river monsters, that the man of river monsters, Jeremy Wade, was the first person that went over there and actually went fishing in the water of by Reactor 4 and caught this pretty big mutated catfish.
Known as the buzzer. This is the nickname given to a shortwave radio station that broadcasts a short, monotonous buzzing noise all day, every day, and has been doing it since 1973, 45 years ago. Nobody knows why this exists or where this creepy station is. Sometimes the buzzer signal is interrupted by a Russian voice that reads out a string of random phrases and numbers. The message usually starts with UVB76. When the message stops, the buzzing begins again, sometimes continuing for years. Theories for this have ranged from military communications to a way to announce a nuclear war has begun. At number 2 now, we have the Collector. In old Russian folklore, the Collector is a strange, dark figure who kidnaps people, kills them, and then puts their mummified bodies on display for his own pleasure. If that sounds too disturbing to be true, then think again. Russians were shocked in 2011 to learn that there was a real-life version of the collector that had been arrested. He used to dig up corpses and dress their remains in women's clothing to display around his home. In total, he did this with an astounding 29 corpses. If there's anything worse than an urban legend, it's a real one coming to life. And finally, number one now, we have Baba Yaga.
That's true.
Everyone I spoke to about this video told me to include Baba Yaga, and for good reason. According to Russian folklore, she is a supernatural being who appears as a deformed old woman. She flies around in a giant mortar while using the pestle to steer. Deep in the Russian woods, she lives in a log cabin that moves around on a pair of chicken legs. The keyhole to her door is filled with sharp teeth. The fence outside is made with human bones topped with skulls. She always leaves one empty though. For you. She is said to kidnap children and threaten to eat them. An emphasis is placed on the need for proper preparation of purity or spirit when meeting her,
sounds like the witch
as well as
of Hansel and Gretel.
This creepy being is said to have good qualities at times, but for many Russians who grew up hearing about her, Baba Yaga is always something to avoid, especially in the woods at night. I had so many more good ones for this video, but that is that. We've done 10 really good ones right there. I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you're watching this and you think your country has better urban legends, then let me know, and maybe we will do a video just like this about them. Thank you for watching. As always, guys, my name's Danny Burke, and I will see you all in the next one.
See ya. Ooh. Amazing Top 10 has merch? I did not know that. Well, anyway, that's going to be it for the video, you guys. And if you really loved it, and if you want me to react to more, then please like and subscribe. GatorGamer chomping out. Goodbye.